Hello, dears. Have you ever had one of those moments where something that's supposed to make life easier ends up making it a whole lot more complicated? I was thinking about that the other morning while I was sitting on my porch with my tea, watching the sunlight crawl slowly across the yard. You know, mornings like that make you remember things. Little moments from years ago that somehow still feel close. And it reminded me why, even today, I still find myself being a little cautious around all this modern technology everyone talks about. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against progress. I've lived long enough to see the world change in ways my younger self could never have imagined. When I was a girl, the most exciting thing in our house was the radio sitting on a little wooden table in the living room. My father would turn the dial carefully, like he was unlocking a secret door, and suddenly voices from miles away would fill the room. We thought that was pure magic. But even back then, my grandmother used to chuckle and say, "Just because something is clever doesn't mean it understands people." I didn't fully understand what she meant at the time. Years passed, of course. Televisions arrived, then computers, and before I knew it, everyone was carrying little glowing screens in their pockets. My grandchildren move through those screens like it's second nature, tapping and swiping faster than my eyes can follow. Sometimes I watch them and think, goodness, the world didn't just change, it started running. But the moment that truly made me question modern technology happened a few years ago, on a quiet afternoon that started out just like any other. My daughter had given me a smartphone for my birthday. "Mom," she said, "this will make everything easier. You can call us, send pictures, look up anything you want." She was so excited about it that I didn't have the heart to tell her I was perfectly happy with my old flip phone that clicked shut like a tiny door. Still, I tried to learn. Every evening I'd sit in my armchair and carefully press buttons, squinting at the screen like it might explain itself if I looked long enough. Eventually I figured out how to send messages, and even how to take pictures of the roses in my garden. I remember feeling proud of myself, like an old dog learning a new trick. Then one afternoon, I decided to try something simple. I wanted to send my grandson a photo of the apple pie I'd just baked. Nothing fancy, just a little message that said, "Thinking of you." I took the picture, typed the message slowly, and pressed the button to send it. Easy enough, right? Well, about 10 minutes later, my phone started making noises I'd never heard before. Little pings and buzzes, one after another. I thought perhaps something was wrong with the oven timer. But no, it was the phone. Messages were coming in from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Old neighbors, distant cousins, someone from church I barely knew. One even came from the plumber who fixed our sink back in 2008. Turns out, instead of sending that picture to just my grandson, I had somehow sent it to nearly everyone in my contact list. And not just the pie. Oh no! Along with the picture, I had accidentally recorded a voice message without realizing it. A full minute of me talking to myself in the kitchen. You know the way we all do when no one's around. Little thoughts out loud. I was muttering about the crust being too brown and how the cat kept staring at me like it expected a slice. Well, apparently, half the county heard that. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at the phone, feeling my cheeks get warmer and warmer. Part of me wanted to crawl under the table. But then something unexpected happened. The messages coming back weren't annoyed. They were laughing. People were saying the pie looked delicious. Someone even said, hearing me talk reminded them of their own grandmother in the kitchen. And that's when I had a strange little realization. You see, technology had tried to make things faster, smarter, more connected. But the moment that actually connected people wasn't the fancy device. It was something simple and human. A clumsy mistake, a real voice, a moment that wasn't polished or planned. Later that evening, my grandson called me, still laughing. He said, "Grandma, that was the best message I've gotten all week." And we ended up talking for nearly an hour. Not texting, not sending pictures, just talking, the way people have done for generations. That's when my grandmother's words floated back into my mind after all those years. Just because something is clever doesn't mean it understands people. Technology is amazing, I suppose. It can send a message across the world in seconds. It can show you maps, weather, recipes, and more information than a whole library used to hold. But sometimes it forgets the small things that really matter. The pause in someone's voice, the warmth in a laugh, the quiet comfort of sitting next to someone without needing a screen at all. These days, I still use my phone, of course. I send pictures of my garden, and sometimes my grandson helps me figure out the parts I don't understand. But I also make sure to keep some things the old way. I write letters now and then. I call people instead of sending quick messages. And every evening, when the sun starts dipping behind the trees, I put the phone away and sit right here on the porch with my tea, listening to the wind moving through the leaves, because no piece of technology has ever been able to replace that. So when people ask me why I don't fully trust modern technology, I usually just smile. It's not that I think it's bad. It's just that I've learned something after all these years. The most important connections in life don't come from machines. They come from moments, from stories, from the simple act of sharing a little piece of your day with someone who cares. And maybe that's why I like sitting here and talking with you all. Now I'd love to hear from you, my friends. Have you ever had a funny or surprising moment with modern technology? Something that didn't quite go the way you expected? Tell me about it down in the comments, because I truly enjoy reading your stories. And if you enjoy these little porch talks with me, don't forget to subscribe and come back again soon. Until next time, take a deep breath, slow down a little, and don't forget that sometimes the best connections in life happen far away from a glowing screen.